Today we're talking like we talk every day. We're talking about movies, and we talk about popular culture. We also talk about culture in general and where the state of the culture is, and hopefully we can help influence and be thought leaders for the future of humankind. Teach people to be considerate, use critical thinking skills and empathy. Let's teach those skills. Let's proliferate that instead of the lies that we get every day from the top down. I am excited to be here, as I am always. Let's see. Yeah, well, hey, we might have a surprise guest. Very, very exciting. Who do you think it is? Let's take some bets. Let's take some guesses. Hey, Tay, how are you, man?
Oh, wow, you're looking all fancy there with your DSLR. And
I got the DSLR rocking.
I'm just here on my phone, and I feel like I should be horizontal. There we go. You're looking beautiful in this shot. I'm just like, okay, oh, Aristotle, all right.
Likewise, sir.
I'm about to go get my 20 pounds.
Tay, thank you so much for popping in today. What I wanted to talk to you about originally was just representation in movies in general. You know, folks who look like we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I are kind of like at opposite ends of the margin for like be considered the traditional lead. I'm probably shorter than most people who get cast as a lead, and you're probably a little bit taller.
How have you been holding up during this coronavirus situation?
You know, I've been okay. I've been blessed. There are a lot of people hurting right now. I've been very lucky, but at the same time, there's concern. I think what I want to achieve in the moment that I'm in right now, personally, when I wake up every day, is try to be the best person that I can be, take care of my physical health, my mental health, in order to be of the greatest use and the greatest utility to making the world a better place.
That's the only purpose I have found right now, is to be like, what can I do during this time to just push positivity and constructiveness and inject that into the world.
I'm going to try to log out real quick and switch to my webcam, which is actually mounted on.
Sure thing.
I will be back.
Yeah, I don't want to strain your deltoids.
Now I'm not just holding my phone in front of my face. Tay, you were so beautiful, and you had your jacket on, and now you look like a child. Even creeping up on 40, it's almost like, wait, who is that child who they cast to play that role?
But that's interesting and very relevant to the topic, is the representation of different age groups in movies. I was just joking just now, saying how like George Clooney can be 50 and age into a role, and then and his love interest can be 30, and we don't really question it.
That's a standard narrative. Right. Of what we expect to happen in social convention. I think there's this expectation that if you are cast as someone who is 40 plus, and this is my experience as male, obviously, but I feel like there's a certain ruggedness, or you're supposed to have a certain element of being alpha or worn or masculine. Even from the earliest days it went viral, I've been told, you have a very feminine face. You have very feminine features. That was also part of the sort of circus aspect in some ways of me being a novelty and going viral, is people think, hey, look at this. This is just a combination of human attributes that we have not seen before.
Or it definitely hasn't been represented.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I don't think it's that rare, but it has not been represented in widely in mass pop culture, especially in a way that is completely not self-aware and confident and happy and projecting, as all of those things incidentally happened in the Chocolate Rain video, where I wasn't trying to be that, I was just being myself.
Right. I wanted to talk to you about that too, which was, it's such a relevant song right now, because you were talking about what's happening now, or what people are coming to be aware of now. Years ago, because this has been the experience of people like you and me in America.
Well, there were a lot of people who at least based on comments on Twitter, they say, hey, I was 6 years old when this came out, and I thought it was a song. It was just a silly song, or you were singing about diarrhea or some, silly
yeah, I haven't heard that one.
Six-year-old brain. And now they're looking at it, as a 20-year-old. There are a lot of people who are kind of coming back to revisit that. I don't know if I would call it Sarah Connor syndrome, but this feeling that I'm always speaking.
For some reason, I just pictured you holding a fence and getting.
I feel like I'm always talking about disaster and foreseeing the foibles of human future, and talking about them in a way that other people who are very much, maybe well-meaning people, but very much going about their lives, hey, that's crazy. That's silly. Come on. That's not an issue. That's what are you talking about? We haven't even crossed that line in my own family where it's like I remember being 20 years old, and I was so excited. I was coming to my father and mother, and we were having dinner, and I had just started to learn about Malcolm X and bell
Mm,
hooks and all these terms like white supremacy and
yeah,
white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. And I remember coming in all excited saying, I'm learning about white supremacy. My father was very sad. He
yeah.
didn't he didn't understand that speaking of that in a structural way was different than my saying, well, because you're white and therefore you're bad. They're not able to hear a critique of
A
institutions
history and an
and
institution.
identities in society that they are a part of without hearing that you're bad and your life is bad and your choices are bad. And it's kind of like,
Tay, you've struck a chord, so to speak, you being a musician, in me, because this has been something that has been very real in my personal life, where I've engaged with some of my friends. There's a few that are trying to sort of wrap their mind around the idea of structural and historical oppression and racism, a system itself that is designed to favor one group over another or the rest. This friend in particular I'm thinking of took that as me saying to them that they are bad. And I'm like, no, no, no,
absolutely.
no, no, no. No, there's a system that has maybe favored people who look like you over people who look like me. And that is what I'm angry with. I'm not angry at you per se, but they, like you said, your dad had a difficult time hearing what you were saying. They have a very difficult time separating that. I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at a system that definitely favors like one group over another, which is it's not equality. That is, I'm angry at inequality.
Yeah. Or there's kind of like I think there's sort of like that tendency, like you start going down that path and it's like, okay, well, when are you going to show up in pitchforks and confiscate my house, confiscate my
Right.
car? This does not automatically teleologically lead to disaffected leftists or disaffected people of the world coming and confiscating
But there's that slippery slope. There's that
your
reactionary.
Mustang and your Harley or whatever else.
On this note of representation and TV shows and stuff like that on the streaming services, and let's say there's a cast of say 8 people, there can never be like 5 black leads in that cast and then nobody question. They'd be like, oh, it's a black show.
For that to happen, it has to be a black sitcom or
Right.
a black movie like Black Panther. No one's saying, well, Lord of the Rings, that's specifically
that's
a white
no,
franchise.
Right. They would
but
not
when
make
when
that
it's Black
association.
Panther, you have black people in Black Panther, then it's like, oh well, okay, that's
Right.
it's a black movie. So
I even had a friend recently say how when they were growing up, and they kind of said it nonchalantly, they were just like, when they would see a black person show up on the screen, they'd be like, I guess they're just doing this politically. And I'm like, when I was a kid and a black person showed up on a TV show, I was like, holy crap, this is cool. I'd be like, oh, wow. This has been an awesome, spontaneous situation. And we definitely have to make this happen again. This is, it's always great to have you on.
we have good energy. Good energy.
Yeah. Great conversation, great questions from the peanut gallery over here, which is awesome. And I always appreciate your insight and I appreciate your artistry. We're just nerds. We like to hang out and talk about nerdy stuff and also sincerely look deeply within these ills of society. I mean, it's important. It's important to have these discussions. And that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, Tay, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate you, man. And thanks so much for stopping in.
Thanks for having me. All right.
Indeed, I will.